Hi, this is Jeremy Kellett, Director of Recruiting here at Oakley Trucking, and I'm your host for this podcast. This is episode 71. Today, we're going to sit down and visit with Mr. Toby Bishop, shop manager here at Oakley Trucking, and get a little detail on things that's happening in the shop. Wash bay, shop, inspections, trailers, wet kits, blowers, and we got all kinds of stuff we're going to talk about today and see what we can discover. I don't know if we'll get to everything, but he's always got some good information for us. And you know, to help, especially our owner-operators that are listening and people that are wanting to come to Oakley, give you a good idea of the equipment that we use and also some details out in the shop and the wash bay. So get with him in just a second, but first I want to give you an Oakley update, and it is sponsored by Arrow Truck Sales. So Oakley update for this week, I got a couple of quick things. One was I wanted to talk about an owner-operator. We started a new job down in Houston, I guess a couple weeks ago, and we got a message from one of the customers and from one of the operations managers. It said of Mr. Roland Spivey, truck 9007 from Frisco, Texas. He hauled the very first load on this new job that we're doing, and he said he did a great job communicating site-specific instructions to us, made things easier, hopefully for other guys coming into the job. Gave us some better directions, and the lady coordinating the truck arrivals was very complimentary of him and his professional demeanor. So shout out to you there, Mr. Roland Spivey. We appreciate you taking care of the customer and us on that new job that we're doing. So also, update on Pilot Flying J discount. Starting August the 1st, they changed the discount from Oklahoma, where we were getting a very good discount but no points. They've moved that to Mississippi starting August 1st. So you've got Texas and Mississippi now that get a better discount but no points. Oklahoma goes back to the retail minus, and you get your points. So keep that in mind as you go through August. That started in August. If you have issues, check if you're not getting your points or something hadn't changed, let me know, and we'll get with them. They're real good about changing it. Also, want to acknowledge an owner-operator that has been with us 14 years, Mr. Jacob Fritz out of Oran, Missouri, O-R-A-N. I think that's how you pronounce that. 8937 is his truck number. He drives a 2018 Western Star, just a great guy. I was talking to his dispatcher the other day, and he said, man, he is just a great guy that takes care of business. He does anything for us, goes anywhere, and he just manages his business. You can tell he's comfortable and he likes what he does, and that's what we want, He said he also had his son was learning to drive and hopefully eventually gets over here at Oakley. So that was good news, too, to keep it in the family. So, Jacob Fritz, appreciate your business and your 14 years at Oakley Trucking. Thank you a lot, man. Let's take a quick break and talk about Arrow Truck Sales. Keith Wilson and Trey down in Springfield, Missouri, those guys do a fantastic job on selling trucks to owner-operators that are looking to come on to Oakley Trucking, and just want to make sure you guys know about them. We've dealt with them a long time. They are no leases, straight financing, specialize in first-time truck buyers, 5-year or newer tractors, all makes and models, less than 400,000 miles. They run a great program there. The best thing I like about them is service after the sale. Be sure and tell them you heard all this on the Oakley Podcast, and they'll also give you a choice of $600 worth of fuel or $600 truck accessories, or they'll pay half your first month payment if you finance with transport funding. Check them out. Call Keith Wilson at Arrow Truck Sales, 573-216-6047. Give them a call and let them know you heard it on the Oakley Podcast. All right, Mr. Bishop, let's get doing a little shop talk here. I know a lot of our owner-operators just love that. To get it talking about what's going on at the shop, trailers, equipment, wet kits, blowers. I mean, it's really good. And I know I had you on one, a podcast before, and that was back a long time ago, and you did really good. And I get a lot of compliments on that episode. And if you wanted to go back and listen to that episode, anybody listening to us, go back. I think it's episode 8. So we're on 71. Sorry it took me so long to get you back on here.
Well, I might have dodged you just a little
bit. But, hey, tell listeners who you are, how long you been here.
Toby Bishop, native of Arkansas my whole life. Been here 22 years. Love it. Love the family atmosphere. Love the people I work with, people I work around. Wouldn't change a thing.
Got family?
Got family. Got a wife and 2 boys. One starting college and one starting the 7th grade.
Oh, wow.
So we're outdoorsy people, and that's
hunting and fishing.
You bet you.
I know that.
Yep.
Seems to run rampant here at Oakley.
Pretty much, yes.
That's good. A couple things, I want to clarify and go over, and I thought we would start. I mentioned this in the last podcast about a level 1 inspection versus an annual inspection, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because I think most people know, but I'd got a message from safety to make sure we get it out to the owner-operators. What would you tell them about the level 1 versus the annual?
You just ask the questions. Make sure you're getting what you're supposed to get. A lot of people get confused between the level 1 and the annual. Level 1 is an Oakley required inspection. Annual is a federal inspection that DOT requires. And there's quite a bit of difference in when you go in somewhere and say, hey, I need to get an inspection. Just an inspection doesn't tell them what you need. If you just say just an inspection, they're going to give you an annual. You're going to have to specify.
Can I go in anywhere and get these?
No. We limit it to certain places. We try to stay away from just anywhere. We've got we're set up with the Loves Speedco.
Okay.
Loves and Speedco both have our forms on file. TA and Petro, they use their annual truck inspection forms. It has everything on it that we require on our form, so we're able to get by with that. The only difference with going in somewhere like TA or Petro is if you take the sticker, the annual sticker, along with that form, because it's the same price. You just have to let safety know that you're going to go ahead and update your annual, because we can use the same numbers and same measurements and same qualifications off of a level 1 that we do on an annual.
At TA and Petro.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So go into TA Petro, don't give them a form. They have one.
They use their form, yes.
They use their form.
Yep, and they can send that in to us, and it covers everything that we ask for.
Okay.
And in Goodyear commercial centers, not just a Goodyear tire, but a Goodyear commercial center, and there's 170 of those locations, we send them our form, but they will do it at the same price as an annual inspection.
So what's the difference in the annual and our level 1?
Our level 1 actually asks for measurements, because if you just go in and get a normal federal DOT inspection, there's no measurements required on there.
Measurements for?
Brakes,
okay,
drums, that kind of stuff, because you go in and you get one and it's good for a year. Well, your brakes and your drums and stuff, your measurements and your wheel seals can go out in that year. You can have leaks, you can have problems that if you don't get out there and look for, you're not going to know it. Well, that affects your CSA. What we do is we take it a step further and we ask for those kind of things. That way we can kind of look 3 months down the road when we think those brakes should have lasted and said, hey, do we need to revisit this? Do you need to check and make sure you're still in compliance?
Do you know, and I don't know this, may have to ask safety, the determination of how often a level 1 is done?
Depends on violations. There's some that are done quarterly.
I was thinking it depended on the year model of the tractor.
True, which they were doing. One time we were doing it all biannual, and then if there was any kind of violations, they were going quarterly.
Okay.
And then we were doing the hot list. So if you were close to needing brakes or something like that, or you just had a moist wheel seal or something, and you had time to fix it, or it wasn't quite out of spec yet,
right,
then in 2 months, 3 months, we would check back. We actually call it the hot list.
Well, yeah.
Priority.
And that's good that we check back on that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So we make an effort to make sure that stuff is fixed. So,
that's right.
Because we don't want anybody running over that. We don't want a trailer that has problems too.
Correct.
To cost somebody CSA. Along with the truck, we don't want them to have problems with that. So you follow back up if somebody's close. And
you bet.
Yeah, I can't remember. I have to ask safety. It seemed like I remember anything that was an older model or something, we would have it done more often. They would have to get their truck inspected more often, but I'll have
Correct.
to get the details on that. So, okay, level 1 versus annual. Anything else to add to that, you think? It's pretty clear cut. Sounds to me like.
Just whenever it's due, just ask.
Yeah.
What's the last thing we want you to do is to go in and get an annual, and you should have got a level 1, and all the requirements aren't there, and you got to get another one, or you got to go back somewhere.
Well, they should know when the annual's done once a year.
And
I mean,
and
you
here's
should
the
know
deal.
when that is.
And an annual can be done anywhere you want to get it done. A driver can get that done anywhere. The level 1 is what we try to get done at
To
specified.
our specifications.
That's right.
Yeah, that way we know more about it.
You
So,
bet.
Okay, good deal. Good clearing up on that stuff. A couple other things I was wanting to talk about was the equipment and the trailers that Oakley has. We have, 900 trailers about, Toby? And that's, I'd have to break that down to probably 500 dumps.
Close. Yep.
Close to that, and then probably 250 and 200, probably 200 pneumatics, 200
You're
hoppers,
you'll be
somewhere around in there.
closer to 1,000 units than you are 900.
Are we?
Yep.
Yeah, so, and that includes a lot of steel line trailers.
Mm-hmm.
We got a bunch of those that, we used to didn't have, and,
You bet.
that includes vacs, straight pneumatics, I mean, all kinds. And it's a challenge to continue to keep the old ones out and new ones coming in. How do you determine that?
A lot of it is, just you'll see, say you've got a group of, let's say, 2015s or a group of 2016s that you purchased, and you kind of see that. You see that start that wear. If it's a dump trailer, you start seeing the floor, you start seeing different things, and you start noticing some appearance, but mainly it's the wear. And whenever it starts getting to that point, then you start getting into your resale cost. Because you got to kind of hold up and pull back and say, okay, it's time to move this unit before we start going backwards in retail cost.
Gotcha.
So,
And sometimes I know we trade them in on new ones, and then other times we just sell them outright. That don't really. That just depends on the market
that's all market, 100%. You're right.
and what you can get
Yep.
at that time.
Yep. And like right now, the market, you go to try to buy new units right now, everybody knows, whether it be a new car or a new four-wheeler. Trailers the same way.
What's the deal? Have we got any on order right now?
No.
And what if you were to order 20 new dumps today?
20 new dumps today, you could see them about, they're telling me March.
Really?
Hopper bottoms are
You might want to order some when we get out of
exactly. And we've been discussing. Hopper bottoms are a year out.
here. A year out?
Yep. So, and what that's coming down to, they're all telling me the same thing, and it's same struggles a lot of people are having. It with no matter what kind of business you're in, it's manpower,
Yeah.
components,
Material?
material. Yep.
How about pneumatics? About the same?
Same thing. Yep.
Well, it's hard to judge, to whether to.
Oh, it's a forecast that it's an unknown.
Yeah.
But you've got to try to do it, and you've got to try to forecast out there what you're going to need or what you may possibly have to have.
Well, I know, I don't know if it was before your first podcast or after, but we had Mike on the podcast.
Yes,
with Mac
him and
Trailers. Him and David, the owner of Mac Trailers, and that was really good, and we had talked about, they really bragged on you and how you detail on what we want and the specs of the trailer. I know we change things, and are these trailers that we get, they're customized to Oakley, aren't they? Specifically the pneumatics and the dumps.
100%. They are not as cookie cut as, say, your hopper bottoms will be. But you can customize a hopper bottom to an extent. But now our dumps are our specs. There's a lot of things that we do on our dumps that has now become an option on some people's.
Like what?
The removable mud flaps, for one, and how we put the T-bar in there. That was something that we came up with out here years ago.
I remember.
Was the removables and the T-bar. the roll caps going from, a rubber gasket or a solid weld to a rubber gasket and bolted to now they are bolted and they've got some flex. So you don't have the tear outs, you don't have the rips, you don't have the welds busting, that kind of thing. A lot of things that we found throughout trial and error.
Right.
From the slide pins, two-way gates.
You get input from the drivers on a lot of stuff?
Yes, all the time. We get great input. And we pass that on because that's one of the things about Mack Trailer that sets them apart, in my opinion, is the innovation. They are humbled enough to say, tell me what we need to do. They're not set in their ways and say, this is the way it is, take it or leave it. And Mike he's the first one to stand up and say, tell me what we can do different.
Yeah, because I'd say it's probably expensive on their end to change anything on an assembly line for Oakley.
That's right.
And
then they're very quick to call, and say, hey, we're thinking about doing this. How do you think it'll fit in the industry? Yeah. They're not scared to ask the customer. Mike it puts together a round table of customers and says, hey, we're starting a new year. What do you see out there? What do you think we need to do different? How can we make our product better?
They do a great job. I tell you, we get so many compliments on equipment, because our stuff looks good. The trailer, the pneumatics look awesome. People want to pull those. The end dumps look good. I mean, even the hoppers, they're not a Mack trailer, but they look good. And we get a lot of recruits, that come in and see equipment, especially the trucks that the owner-operators drive, and they go, man, they must be making some money to afford all that equipment over there, and that's the truth. That's what you got to do is make money to do it. So
it makes a difference, Jeremy, on our tail end, on our resale. When we get ready to resell equipment, it makes a difference in the way it's maintained, the way it looks, and who it was manufactured by, and the specs that it's made on makes a difference because they'll go, oh, I didn't think about that. Man, I like that.
Yeah, and it does make your resale a lot easier. Hey, that's coming from Oakley. Oakley got any trailers for sale? And that's good. So we don't have any for sale right now, do we?
We don't right now.
That's good. It sounds like we better keep what we got and play some more.
That's right.
Hopefully it'll turn around, though. They tell you a year. I mean, we same thing as we talked to MHC last week's podcast about that, and trucks being hard to get, parts being hard to get. Are you having any problems with parts for trailers?
Yes. Yes. But we're also seeing price increasing on just pretty well everything across the board.
Yeah.
Raw materials is going up. So.
Yeah, a lot of it. Which, talking about good looking equipment, how about keeping it washed? Last time we talked, wash bay added the third bay, and I know, back then we was having some staffing issues. What has changed over in the wash bay? Anything's all good, going good?
We're back full staffed.
Full staffed.
That's a big thing.
That is a big change.
And along with the shop, we've got just a handful of positions left to fill, and we will be back to full staff and a little better.
So you are hiring at the shop?
Yes.
Okay.
Hitting on all cylinders over on the first, second, and third bay at the wash bay. That alleviated a lot of pressure. We've tossed around different hours to help out, either staying open later or coming in earlier for the washouts, those express hoppers coming in, needing rinsed out and going, not having to sit in line and maybe try to alleviate the line a little bit.
So, how's that, excuse me, how is that working? So what's our normal hours? Drivers are listing
7:30 to 5 normal hours,
and they can't get nothing after hours. What you're saying is you're talking about doing
right to alleviate the stack up in the mornings, or the people who could load earlier in the mornings versus the evenings more. But it was more of the morning time, maybe opening up earlier, bringing some help to get those rolling versus sit there until 7:30, get rinsed out, and then go and maybe be behind a line at where they're getting loaded.
If I'm pulling up to the wash bay, pull behind the shop, how do I know which bay to go into?
Well, currently we're working on some new signs.
Oh, good idea.
So for the back side. But that right there in itself is kind of a double negative, if you will, because we have to move things around in two of those bays so much. They'll both accommodate tanks, but a lot of times it's easier to run your conversions on the south end, the far south bay, than it is the middle bay.
Okay.
We like to do those express washes in that new third bay. We're not set up, and we didn't plan to, but eventually we're going to have to. We didn't set up for truck washes in there. Well, a lot of what's happening with what could be an express wash, drivers are wanting a truck wash as well.
So they got to get in the first or the second.
That's right. So
left or the middle.
That's right. Rather than just get an express. So it looks bad because you're sitting there with a stacked up line and nobody in that new bay. Well, it's not.
They're wanting a truck wash.
They're wanting a truck wash too, and an exterior on their trailer, which is it probably needs to be.
Good,
you bet.
Yeah.
And Leroy helps on that. You know, he's able to see out back. He's able to watch.
You go out there and ask people.
Yeah, hey, if you're just needing an express, let's get you moved over here, and they'll say, no, I'm wanting to do this, that, or the other. So
eventually you're going to have to. Right now it's just if you need a rinse out.
That's right.
You roll through that third bay and go on.
And
but if you want a tractor or trailer wash, outside wash, exterior wash, you're going to have to be in the far left two bays.
That's right.
That helps, I think,
Sure.
people to understand with the wash bay. And, you know, they do a good job. I get a lot of compliments on the wash bay doing a good job. And I don't get very, very few negatives. I mean, on that.
And the thing about
I don't know
it
if it is just because we're not over there. I don't hear anybody, but I mean.
All you have to do is go in there and bring it to their attention.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're willing to do whatever we need to do.
Well, good information, man. Let's take a quick break and listen to our sponsor, Lube Zone. For the past 6 months, Lube Zone and All-Star Truck Repair have been a proud sponsor of the Oakley Podcast. We've enjoyed telling you all about their network of locations and exclusive discounts they're offering Oakley drivers. Just in time for summer, Lube Zone is offering an AC tune-up service to help you beat the heat. So if your AC is struggling to keep up with the rising temperatures, don't sweat it. Lube Zone has got you covered. Swing by any of their locations, especially if you're running in the Houston area. I spoke with Jeff Porter the other day, who informed me they are featuring a wheel alignment service now, which runs $100 for a single axle and $225 for a 3-axle alignment. And they're also going to extend the $40 discount for oil changes at all Lube Zones through September. Lube Zone and All-Star Truck Repair are taking great care of us out on the road and at home on the Oakley Podcast. Check out lubezone.com for more information or visit one of their locations and tell them you heard it on the Oakley Podcast. So let's couple more things, because I know you're busy and you got to get back to work. But you know, it was so hard to hog tie you in here that I want to try to get as much as I can out of you, because I know it's going to be probably another 70 episodes before I get you back. But I think it's great for people to understand what's going on out here, because the shop plays such a key role in what Oakley Trucking does. I mean, it amazes me that we have 900 plus trailers, and we got a shop out here that's got how many bays? 5 bays. That keeps them going and keeps them rolling, keeps them up to date. I mean, it's just it amazes me, and that helps a lot, because you got to keep them. You can't sit here all day to wait on a trailer to get done. A driver cannot take all day to get stuff done, which is. And a lot of times it's inconvenient, because we may have to swap trailers with him, because this is going to have a day's worth of work or whatever. But, I mean, typically when somebody needs to get in a shop, you get them in and out that day, don't you?
We were here till 7:30 last night, just getting done with trailers that guys were still hooked to, that needed to stay hooked to what they were under, to get them worked on, get them done, and get them rolling where they were going.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And here's another. Our reserve shop's doing Wade and them are doing a great job down there.
Oh, Ronnie, down in Louisiana?
You bet. And there's 2 bays down there, and they're, just steadily getting it.
Are they?
You bet.
They got plenty of help down there, doing good?
You bet.
Fully staffed?
Yep.
And that's another thing, we do washes down there, outside washes. In Reserve, Louisiana, got a great wash facility. We got a couple bays down there, don't we? Mm-hmm. 2 wash bays.
Mm-hmm. Actually got 3.
3, and then we got 2 bays, mechanic bays.
Yep.
What kind of stuff can they do down there as far as trailer work?
They can do anything with the exception of a total wreck or something like we do up here.
Okay, tarps, tires, brakes, whatever needs to be done there. Good deal. So you guys keep that in mind. You don't always have to get back to North Little Rock to get things done. If you can get to Reserve and it's closer and more convenient.
And Wade is also able to do some of our ELD repair and upgrades and that kind of stuff. He has units down there. If they're having problems, we can swap out,
Yeah.
He's kind of an extension to that as well.
That's good to know, too.
Jack of all.
Jack. Well, Wade's been with us a long time, man.
Yes, he has.
He's done a great job, man. I'll tell you what, that takes a lot to uproot your family and move them down there to Reserve, Louisiana, because he's from up here, right?
Yep.
Yeah, did a heck of a job. Wet kits and blowers. We got 2 bays set up out there where we put on wet kits and blowers mainly for new guys that come in to orientation, but also some swap overs, some guys swap divisions. But from a person out there that's not with Oakley, let's say, and is thinking about coming to Oakley, well, they're always worried, about their truck being taken care of. I got to put equipment on it. That scares me right there. I don't want to put equipment. Who's going to put it on there? That kind of stuff. I try to, as a recruiter, we try to ease their mind because we have a lot of confidence in you guys out there. But, anytime I'm putting my truck in the shop, I'm always hesitant about people messing with my truck and doing things right. And, I just want to watch them. I'll have to tell you later about my son, Clay, over in Mississippi. He said, oh, man, you talking about messed up about trucks now. He's something else. He loves them trucks. But tell those people that are listening to ease their mind about getting a wet kit or a blower or getting something done out here in our shop.
It's stressed on a regular basis. That is something that most guys that come in here are very proud of, their trucks. And truck drivers usually are. And they take care of it. That's their livelihood. And I explain it to these guys out here, just like that toolbox over there you make your living with that you're so proud of, and you're a little on the stingy side when it comes to your tools. They feel the same way about their truck, and they want people to take care of them, and they want people to look after them. And we've got different covers, blankets, that kind of stuff that we use for fenders and all kinds of accessories to keep what we're doing hopefully off of, away from, and to protect their truck from seat covers, floor coverings. We do just like the dealerships do as far as the floor coverings and stuff, and we try to keep all that to a minimum. But at the same token, we're trying to get something installed at the same time. So anything that looks out of sorts, when we pull somebody's truck in, we notify them, hey, we want you to see this. Was this already? Was this something that was done? And it's mostly yes, I know about that or whatnot. But we're gonna take the best care we possibly can. And
you got listeners out there. You got to remember, we don't do any tractor work, engine work, anything like that. Brakes or anything. We're just we're inspecting it and we're putting on PTO pumps and blowers.
Required equipment
and
to pull.
Qualcomms.
Yes.
So that. So typically you're just underneath the truck. Yep. Most of the time I guess you got it in there for the Qualcomm, but I hope that eases everybody's mind about it's a priority to take care of that. That's a great example of the mechanic and his toolbox.
Oh yeah.
And
most drivers, whenever they come in, and we on the first day of orientation, and they're going over their truck and what decals they want, where they want them placed, we give them that option to an extent, and then they're going to go through and they're going to ask them. We have to mount the ELD. It's mandated. It's a law. It has to be stationary on this bracket. We've got to mount it. Please show us. Nobody likes holes in their dash. Nobody wants. So, we got to come up with a resolution there before we can ever get started. At the same time, if they have to have a control box, it's got to be mounted in the floor.
Yeah, for the PTO.
That's right. Here's what we normally do. Here's another option. We try to give them all the information possible rather than you just take somebody's truck without talking to them and just go to, punching holes in something. And
right.
Here it is,
You put most of them on the left side
if
they'll fit.
If they'll
the
fit.
Control box
Yep.
for the PTO.
And we have two different styles. We've got to lay down and we've got to stand up. But not always can you put either one of them on the left side, because a lot of the door pockets now come all the way to the seat, and it doesn't allow you to even to close the door. So they have to go on the right-hand side.
And you don't take a hacksaw and cut out that door pocket or anything?
Well, they
So
kind
it'll
of frown.
fit.
They kind of frown on that.
Just kidding. Just kidding, people. It's that'd be something I'd probably do at my house. Well, something I've got. But that's good. I mean, we've known that for years. I mean, how many years we've been putting on wet kits and blowers? I mean,
Long
20
time.
plus, 25 plus.
Yes.
I mean, it's something that's definitely know what we're doing, and that's a whole nother issue is we know what we're doing. Not everybody knows what they're doing with PTO and pumps and blowers, on their truck. So,
And we have a lot of vendors that'll say, if somebody's going to figure out if there's a problem with this, it's going to be Oakley.
yeah.
Because we've been in it long enough, we can pretty well tell them whether it's going to work or
Real
not.
quick, I know this is probably not real quick, but we need to start wrapping up. Automatic transmissions. Recruiters have had to learn about automatic transmissions, and we don't know anything about transmissions, but we do know, we've talked about this, the Detroit, the DD12, DT12 is not compatible for what we do.
For what we do, you can be told, yes, a PTO can be put on it. And that is correct. It can be. But you can't put, and be under any kind of warranty, you can't put a pump of our size to move that many gallons to operate a dump trailer of our size on there because it weighs too much. They won't allow that much weight hanging on the back of it. So you can, yes, I have seen it. I've been shown there are ways to get around it, but it's not going to pump what we need it to pump. And that's the gray area, or that's the conversation or the rumor you hear. Well, but I know so-and-so and they've got one. And they do. They do have one. I've seen it myself. There's companies that have them, but their trailers
They're like
aren't.
liquid pumps or something that
No,
they do?
a shorter, smaller dump trailer.
Okay.
I mean, you take a 24-foot trailer versus a 40-foot trailer. Okay, if you can put the same amount of weight on it, but you're not taking it near as high, near as long.
Gotcha. So, that's the DT12,
Yes.
the Detroit transmission. Are there any other transmissions that you know of that we've had major problems with?
No.
Not that I can think of. Maybe one or two. We had to have a
Yep.
special adapter or something. But
Yes, you'll have to have an adapter, or they'll turn the opposite direction. So you have to have a a directional pump.
But most of them, what's your standard transmissions? I mean, that
Eaton's.
we're able to do them automatics.
Yeah. And then your Volvo's Max, we're able to do those.
Yeah. They have to get something done at Volvo
That is correct.
before we do.
It has to have it has to be programmed and
Yeah.
a switch put in, because the transmission has to have communication from the PTO to say, hey, we're going into PTO mode, so the transmission knows to change.
Easy enough. Okay. That probably cleared up a few things because we get asked about that all the time. So good information, man. Anything else you'd like to add? You did good. I mean, it's all good information. It really is.
Wish everybody the best. Stay safe.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's we're going to get through all this deal. It's going to be good. I mean,
Yep.
Thank goodness, we've been able to keep going and keep rocking, and trucking is good right now.
That's right.
It really is. And thank goodness we got a shop like you're running out there, Toby,
Well,
to keep us going.
And there again, before we conclude here, anybody has any questions, pick up the phone and call.
Yeah.
I'll take your call. I'll talk to you. Whether it's about trailers, whether it's about wet kits, blowers. You're coming over here, you got a question about what's going to be installed, how it's going to be done. If you want to see pictures of one put on a truck, I mean, we'll do whatever we can to ease your mind.
Yeah.
Get you to come over here.
Yeah.
You
good.
won't you won't be disappointed. I promise you.
Well, thanks for joining me today, man. I appreciate you all this good information for not just our owner-operators, but everybody else, too, listening. So I appreciate you.
Appreciate the invite.
I'm glad you quit ignoring me the last couple of weeks, so it feels good to finally get this done. And hey, I appreciate everybody. We want to bring stuff to you that you want to hear, and I want you to do that by sending me a message. If you want to call me, text me directly, you can do that. 501-733-1206. That's my cell phone number. You can shoot me a text, send me a recording, whatever you want. We want to answer your questions too. If you've got questions about anything at Oakley and you think everybody else needs to hear the answer, hey, send it to me and we'll be glad to check it out. Also, always check us out on YouTube. We have a new episode coming out every Wednesday. And be sure and comment on it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on all social media stuff. And once again, man, we appreciate everybody listening. We'll talk to you next week.